Hey guys! So in this video we are going to talk about jobs and moving between jobs. So let's get into it. Now, this is something that it's very individual. It's very, very individual. And my goal here isn't really to tell you that one approach is better than the other. All I'm here to do is to share with you some of the insights that I've had so far when it comes to thinking about my career and thinking about my personal development. So let me just walk you through it. Something that I found greatly troubling when I was in the university was that I felt that I understood all of the things, or at least not all of the things, let's be honest here, but I had a fairly good understanding of how things worked in school. I understood how my teachers were thinking. I understood how I was supposed to write my software to get my grades. I understood all of the goings-ons, if you will. And I remember talking to my professor or tutor or mentor or whatever you want to call him, and saying that the thing that felt very uneasy to me was that although I could get the results that I wanted, I didn't really feel like I didn't really know if this was really how it was to work as a professional. I didn't really know because I wrote the code, right? But I had no frame of reference. I didn't have anything to compare this to. I had never done this professionally, so I didn't know if I was just good if it was just good for my teacher, or if it was something that would be suited in a place of work. And that was what I call I hadn't bloodied my sword. I hadn't been out in the real world and done something. So let's bring that with us. So I start at my first job. And I start working and I see that, all right, there are a few things here that almost everything at the syntax level, all the things that I've been taught are very similar. And there are things that are different, not very, very different, but there are I start to realize that I know absolutely nothing. It wasn't I wasn't unprepared. It was just that I realized how little I knew, because there were I had requests from my manager and my boss and so forth that came in, and every day was a new development for me. Every day was learning something new or researching something. I knew the tools, I knew variables, loops, and I knew all of this stuff, right? But I didn't know how to put them together in order to create these solutions that were much more complicated. Well, not much complicated, but a little bit more complicated than what I had been taught in school. And so after a while, I switched jobs again. And I started seeing that there was a red thread between my first job, I had been taught in school, my first job, and then my second job. And I felt much more comfortable in my new environment, because I started seeing the things that were common. And this is the important part. I started understanding, remember what I was saying about the university? I had nothing to compare anything with. I didn't know anything about how things were being done in in a different context. But at my second job, I now had 3 reference points: school, my first job, and now my second job. And I started getting this sensation that, oh, okay, I start to understand now. I'm starting to understand what is very common for each context. I'm starting to get a grasp of what is truly common to every place of work, or every scenario or situation, context, call it whatever you want. And now at my third job, I finally feel as if it's even further embedded in me, and I feel as if I now have an understanding of These are the things that are almost 99% of the time going to be the same. I know these things very well, and these are the things that are a little bit different from every situation. And this is why I want to talk to you. If you are a junior and you've started working, I absolutely urge you to, and you've seen probably one of my videos where I try to explain to you that it's very good for you and healthy for you to get your bearings first, get an understanding of how this programming thing works and feel that you can do it. But don't get too comfortable at your first place of work. Or maybe do. It depends on your viewpoint, I suppose. But take it from me. I can tell you that I feel now that I've been through a few companies, it feels very good to have had more than one job. Because as I said in the earlier, when I didn't have anything to compare my skills or what I'm doing to, and I didn't have anything to compare to, that actually gave me a lot of uncertainties. And I've talked to developers who are like they've been at the same one single company for many years, and they get a little bit of an issue when they move from that company to another company, because they have embedded a very specific way of working to the point where it becomes tricky for them to understand what they should always be doing and the things that they should be a little bit more flexible on. And this type of life experience, you get that very naturally when you switch jobs. It's a new environment, a new context, and if you pay attention, you start noticing these patterns. So although for a junior, I'm not saying that you should just quit your job, but I urge you to kind of think about the long term, to think about your own personal growth, because it's so easy to get a little bit scared when you're young in your career and not try things out, to not see the world, to not try out different types of occupations or programming styles, because there's so many things you could be doing. So this is just me to kind of telling you that I think it would be very healthy for you to switch jobs at least once or twice, to not just stay in one place for the rest of your for your entire career. And trust me, you are probably one of the most fortunate people and most let's just call it, you're very fortunate, you're very lucky, because it's very easy for you to get a new job. It's actually among the easiest things, like in programming. Getting a new job is usually not a problem once you have a few years on your CV. So the only thing that really stops you is your own desire and probably a little bit of fear, because it's going to work out for you. So take it from me, it's a bit scary in the beginning when you switch jobs and so forth, but at least I think it's very healthy for you to be in more than one place, so that you have something to compare yourself to, or something to compare. That's at least how I feel about it. Have a great day.